Hello and welcome to Pokemon Lair. My name is TD, hence TD's Pokemon Lair, and today we'll be unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards I sent to PSA over a year ago, and I got them back in this nice little box, packaged nice and well so they don't get damaged in shipping. Looks really good. Let's take a look at those, get them out of the box, and let's see what grades we got. Alright, let's go. I'm proud to show you this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Electrode, a Holo, the number 2 card. As you can see, the holographics on this card look really good in the light. Our surface is nice and clean. There's no scratches or damage. Our centering looks really good. I'm sure it's within tolerance. And finally, our center edges and our corners, I think they're really good. And as we take a look at the back, you can see that it looks really clean. Our centering, I think, is within tolerance. Our surface has no damage. Our edges and our corners, our edges look pretty good. Our upper right corner has some slight damage, and there's some slight damage on the lower right corner and a little bit of the lower right edge right by the corner. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. That's pretty good for that 20-year-old Holo. Let's take a look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Mr. Mime, the number 22 card. Mr. Mime here looks really good on the surface of the card. I don't see any problem with the graphics or anything else. There's no damage to that card. Our centering looks pretty good from top to bottom, from left to right. I think it's a little to the left. Might take us out of tolerance. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, I don't see any damage there. As we flip the card over and look at the back of the card, you can see that the surface is nice and clean. There's no damage or stains or anything that detracts from the presence of the card. Looking at our centering, it looks within tolerance. It looks really good. And looking at our corners and our edges, I actually don't see any damage or anything like that. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 10. That is awesome. That's a very good grade for a 20-year-old card. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Jolteon, a Holo, the number 4 card. Looking at Jolteon here, you can see that the graphics and the Holo look really good, especially in the light. Our centering, I think, is within tolerance. It looks really good. Our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage that will affect the grade. As I excitedly turn over this card and look at the back, I can see that the centering looks really good. I don't think it's out of tolerance. It's a little to the left, but hopefully it's within tolerance, and it might be towards the top from the bottom. But the rest of the card looks really good. Our edges and our corners, there's some very, very slight damage to both right corners. And that's going to get us a grade of Mint 9. That's pretty good. I like all the 9s I can hit. Let's take a look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Pidgeot, the number 24 card. Looking at this card, you can see the surface is nice and clean. There's no damage, no scratches, no bends. Our centering looks pretty good. I think it's within tolerance. Our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage. As we look at the back of the card, you can see that the surface is nice and clean. The graphics are nice and bright. There's no problems or damage there. Our centering is off to the left. I think that's going to take us out of the tolerance and drop us from a Gym 10. Looking at our edges and our corners, they're actually really clean. And that's going to give us a grade of Mint 9. Wow, that's pretty good. I like that. Let's check out a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Mr. Mime Holo, the number 6 card. Looking at the front surface of this card, you can see that the Holo shines really well in the light. Our surface looks pretty clean. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think, is within tolerance. Finally, looking at our corners and our edges, they look pretty good. There is a slight silvering, as they call it, on the upper edge. And as we examine the back of the card, the surface and the graphics look really clean, no problems there. Our centering looks really good. I think it's totally within tolerance. And finally, looking at our corners on our edges, I think there's some damage to both lower corners. And that's going to give us a grade of near mint 8. That's pretty good. I'll take that grade any day. As we take a look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Scyther, the number 26 card. You take a look at this front of this card, it looks really good. I don't see any damage to the front surface or the graphics. Our centering looks a little towards the left on the front of this card. And looking at our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage there. As we look at the back of the card, you can see that the surface looks pretty good. I don't see any major damage to there. Our centering is way to the right, as you can tell by just looking at it. And finally, looking at our edges and our corners, there's some edge damage to the top edge and the right edge. And there's a nice little nick in the lower left corner. And both right corners have some slight damage. And that's going to give us a grade of near mint 7. That's not too bad, not too good. I'll take it anyway. Let's take a look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Pidgeot, the Holo version, the number 8 card. Looking at the front of this card, you can see that the graphics look really good. I like how I set it up so you can see the reflection of the light. Looking at our centering, I think it's not too bad. It's probably within tolerance. Getting to our corners and our edges, there's what's called silvering and a little bit of damage up on the upper right corner. As always, we take a look at the back of the card, and as I do the gander at it, the surface doesn't look too bad. Our centering, I think, is possibly within tolerance. It's a little to the left though. And looking at our corners and our edges, I think it looks pretty darn good. Might be slight damage on the upper right corner, but let's see. And we're going to get a grade of near mint 8. That should have been a 9. Dang it. We are looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Vaporeon, the number 28 card. The front surface of this card, the main graphics look really good. Looking at our borders, the left border about 60% of the way down, there's a white speck. Looking at our centering, it is towards the left. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, I think they look pretty good. As we inspect the back, you can see that the surface looks pretty good at first inspection, but there is a scratch near the word Pokemon on the top of towards the top of the card, and there's our centering looks pretty good from top to bottom, side to side, but as we get to our edges and our corners, both lower corners have some damage. And I wonder what grade we're going to get. Excellent, 5. Well, with that scratch, I guess it's alright. I'm looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Scyther, the Holo version, the number 10 card. Looking at the front surface of this card, you can see it looks really nice. The holographics are nice and shiny. Looking at our centering, from top to bottom, I think it's slightly towards the top, and from side to side, I think it's slightly towards the left. And looking at our edges and our corners, I don't see any damage. The back of the card looks really clean. I don't see any damage to the graphics or the surface. Our centering looks a little to the right and still towards the top. And finally, looking at our corners and our edges, they look really clean and nice. And that's going to give us a grade of mint 9. That's pretty good for that card. I think the centering was the problem. Let me show you this 1999 Pokemon Jungle Victreebel, the number 30 card. Victreebel, the front surface of this card looks really nice. I don't see any damage, no problems. Our centering looks really good. I think it's totally within spec. And finally, our corners and our edges have no damage that I can find. As we flip this card over and look at the back, you can see that the surface looks really good. I don't think there's any issues there. Looking at our centering, I think from side to side it's pretty good, and from top to bottom it's possibly within spec. We'll have to see. And finally, our corners and our edges, I think they're really nice. I don't see any damage. And that's going to give us a grade of Jim Mint 10. I guess it was all within tolerance. Wow.